And welcome to the September 28th, 2022 Select Board meeting. Just a notice that this meeting is televised and recorded by Easton Cable Access TV. To ensure quorum, I will ask my colleagues on the Select Board to introduce themselves, starting with Jen Stacy.
Jennifer Stacy.
Jamie Stebbins.
Mark Lamb.
Craig Barger. I'm filling in for Donna Fulgenetti, who's on vacation this week. The first order of business is a recognition of National Manufacturing Day, October 7th, 2022. Mr. Lamb, if you'd like to read the proclamation for me.
Yes, so National Manufacturing Day, Proclamation 2022. Whereas Manufacturing Day highlights manufacturing careers and educates the public about the benefits of manufacturing careers and the integral role it plays in the growth and prosperity in the cities and towns of the Commonwealth. And whereas for generations, manufacturing has played a critical role in Massachusetts' diverse economy, driving economic growth and creating jobs. And whereas manufacturers in Massachusetts account for 9.15% of the total output in the state, employing 7.02% of the workforce and gaining 11,600 manufacturing jobs in 2021. Whereas total output from manufacturing was $54.59 billion in 2019. In addition, there were an average of 236,000 manufacturing employees in Massachusetts in 2020, with an average annual compensation of $104,440.60 in 2019. Whereas manufacturers helped to drive Massachusetts' economy with $23.64 billion in manufactured goods exports in 2020. That same year, $7.16 billion in exports was with our free trade agreement partners. Small business comprised 89% of all exporters in Massachusetts, whereas it is critical to the growth of the manufacturing sector in the Commonwealth that today's students are exposed to the opportunities and benefits of a career in manufacturing through career and technical education and workplace experiences and learning. And whereas with the use of robotics in manufacturing and the convergence of technology increasing in the speed from design to production, the need for highly skilled technicians will continue to increase. And now, therefore, the Easton Select Board hereby proclaim Easton as a town that values manufacturing, the jobs it creates, and the essential services produces, and further recognizes October 7th, 2022 as Manufacturing Day.
Thank you. One thing I neglected to do is Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'll all join me in Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we have a number of one-day liquor licenses this evening. 2 licenses for the Ames Free Library fundraiser, Ghost Hunting at Queeset House, 51 Main Street, Easton, Mass., October 28th, 2022 from 5 to 10 p.m. and October 29th, 2022 from 5 to 10 p.m. You're here for that? If you could come to the table and introduce yourself and tell us all about it.
All right, I'm Jessica Block. I'm the Assistant Director at the Ames Free Library, and we're hosting our, well, not exactly annual, it's actually our first time doing this, but we're hosting a fundraiser for the library. The event this year will be ghost hunting at the Queeset House. So we have a group coming in that are experienced with sensing the paranormal and all that. So they're going to take guests on tours around the Queeset House. So people are buying tickets, and with that will come a little lecture, question and answer, and at that point, then the guests will be able to, they have a snack, a charcuterie cup, and wine will be available. So hence the liquor license.
And how does the public get tickets?
Sure. So tickets are available at the library at the front desk, cash or check, or you can purchase with credit card online. amesfreelibrary.org. On our website, we have all the information there.
Sounds exciting.
It's very exciting. Lots of people are really looking forward to it. So
That's excellent. That's excellent. Anybody have, Jen, you have any?
No questions. It sounds like a really
Great.
cool idea for an event. So
Thanks.
awesome.
Yeah, is it sold out?
it is not sold out. Tickets just went on sale Monday. So
Okay, great.
yes.
So you can still get in.
Tickets
That sounds
available. There are
fantastic.
4 separate tours. Yeah.
Great. Is it happening over 2 days or no?
2 days.
Two,
Yep.
okay.
Two tours on each of 2 nights.
Great.
Yeah.
It looks like Friday, Saturday night. Well, I hope it's successful. I'm sure it will be. You might even see me there.
Wonderful.
And I hope I get to see a ghost or two.
I hope so too. Thank you.
So, I would need a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for 2 licenses for Ames Free Library fundraiser, ghost hunting at Queeset House, 51 Main Street, Easton, Mass., October 28, 2022, from 5 to 10 p.m., and October 29, 2022, from 5 to 10 p.m.
So moved.
Second instead.
All in favor? So that was Lamb and Stebbins. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Good seeing you.
Thanks, everyone. You too.
Next on the list is a YMC Donor Reception at 50 Oliver Street, Easton, Mass. On October 18, 2022, from 4 to 10 p.m. I don't see anybody from the Y or from
No,
From
the next 3 are all filed in conjunction with Shoveltown, and I believe Frank was not available,
That's what
but
told me, yeah.
he's always been a good, responsible licensee. So.
So I'll make a motion to move a motion to for the YMCA Donor Reception event, 50 Oliver Street, Easton, Mass., October 18, 2022, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Second instead.
So that's Lamb and Stebbins. All in favor? Did you all get invited?
No.
Okay, number 2, Immaculate Conception Church and Parish Fundraiser, 193 Main Street, Easton, Mass., November 5th, 2022, 5 to 10 p.m.
I'll make a motion to move that liquor license as well.
Second.
Lamb and Stebbins. All in favor? Beautiful. And lastly, private wedding reception, no name, just a private wedding reception. 50 Oliver Street, Easton, Mass., November 25th, 2022, from 4 to 10 p.m.
4 to 11 p.m.
Oh, sorry, 4 to 11.
And I will make a motion to move that license as well.
Second.
Lamb and Stebbins. All in favor? Great. Okay. Next on the agenda is a discussion and vote the Blanche A. Ames Elementary School Break Builders Corp. Project Change Order Number 9. Chris, I'm sorry I didn't get your last name.
Leffler.
Leffler, okay.
Yep.
Just a quick note before Chris gives us the overview of change orders number 9. I do have a host of contracts on the docket tonight, items 3 through 11. Typically, after the board votes to execute a contract, the template forms we have all say chair of select board. So I would just ask for the record that the board take a motion to authorize Vice Chair Barger to sign any and all contracts executed by the board tonight.
I will make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Barger, you got Lamb and Stebbins again? Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Appreciate your favor.
All right. Pleasure to see everyone. I know Walter is off at his wedding. Off to Greece on Friday, so he can't be here.
Good everything happy.
So yeah, I'm more than happy to step in and help out Walter. Again, my name is Chris Leffler with PMA. More than happy to meet everyone again and step in for Walter. So under the process established by the SBC, which is approved by the town of Easton, the select board, we have the technical review committee that meets every Wednesday. And if you guys would ever like an invitation, we're more than happy to send it to you guys. So we have the select board that looks through these PCOs or change orders every week, and we scrutinize them from top to bottom. PMA, Perkins Eastman, we all make sure we run that to ground. We look through from how much it's going to cost from previous projects and how much it's cost in the past. But right now we're bringing change order number 9 to the board, which is about just over $281,000. So the first PCO is PCO number 86, which is a cost associated for the wastewater treatment center. I don't know if you guys are fully wrapped into the wastewater treatment center, but the wastewater treatment center had some issues with the heating and cooling. So what we did was we had Levangie Electric, which has been working on site with the elementary school, and they basically said that they could heat, but they can't cool, which ran to kind of an issue. So we basically had another electrician come out, and we've come to the terms that it is definitely worth about it's about $28,000 worth of changes for the wastewater treatment center to have a new HVAC system implemented so we can actually heat and also cool through the system through the year. So PCO number 103 is a door at D203 in an elementary school, and Perkins Eastman identified that as a need. So rate priced that out as something that is basically a need. So the door will basically close as the HVAC runs. The door closes, it locks. It's a security risk. So we basically need to have that moving forward. PCO number 115, it's the gym floor. So the gym floor has been a big issue from the start. There was a slab depression. We thought it was like 1/4 of an inch in variation. That wasn't going to be an issue, but it was. It's a very minor cost. We figured that would be we figured that the variation in the slab wouldn't be an issue, but it was when they started laying the base layer down. So when they laid the base layer down, it kind of was offset, and we figured that would be, Perkins Eastman figured it would be a good indication to keep moving that forward. PCO 120, which was kind of intertwined with RFP number 43, the door operation system. We figured that the door operation system would, as the HVAC would run, when they control it, it would not fully operationally close as the system's kicked on. So we figured for safety aspects that would be a good thing to have interconnected. So PCO 125, the cost associated with the Easton signage, which David Swamley came over to us and said, this is something that we definitely would need moving forward. We have to have the signage for where the traffic is going to come in and out. So we have to keep all the kids safe, moving from the safe spaces in and out from Columbus Street over to Lothrop from Spooner.
So this is related to the temporary signage out there now while construction's ongoing.
Exactly.
Through the school year.
Yep, correct. PCO 128, the cost associated with the moisture mitigation in the mechanical room. So the mechanical room's great. It has the external drains, so it moves from the condensation from the actual units, and it pushes towards an actual grate. But we figured the epoxy flooring would actually make a huge difference in the longevity of the actual mechanical room. If that makes sense to you guys. Please stop me. If you have any questions, please let me know. And 133 is the owner-furnished soap dispensers. And so what we didn't really bid out from the beginning was the soap dispensers, toilet paper dispensers, and the paper towel dispensers. So we let the project move forward, and then now we're looking to have, I think it's like $2,300 worth of dispensers so we can actually move forward. And the second floor, which is the K through 2, is a little bit easier to deal with because they don't have the bathrooms and the dispensers in the bathrooms. The second floor actually does. And then let's see, lastly is the PCO 143 is the cafe speaker change. Is a zero cost on that, right? So Perkins Eastman thought that would be a great change to put the new speakers in. That if you look at from the cafe in cafe number 2, the speakers look down, and they have all the fiber cement board that keeps all the acoustic sound within the cafe. So it's actually a great change from Perkins Eastman.
That will help protect for soundproofing of the classrooms behind and
Correct.
things like that, because that was a concern.
Because it's right next to the music and also art.
And that's a total of $281,081.31.
Correct.
For that.
Yes, and important part of that is that with the execution of this, so we're at 73% on the project timeline, and then Chris, you want to just give a brief update on where we are there after this. You will have spent 22% of owner contingency with another 23.5 at risk, pending resolution. But even if you take the worst possible exposure, you're up in the mid-40s on your contingency without touching the bid savings, which are substantial, and you're nearing 75% complete.
I do have a couple questions, Shelley. If you want me to wait until after?
Sure.
So my first question is on the gym floor, the slab depression. What was the cost on that? I didn't hear the cost.
I can pull that up real fast. Actually, I don't have internet. Colony that.
Yes, I have it. One moment. This is the 3-inch athletic floor. Is that right?
Correct.
Athletic flooring substitute to 3 inches, $8,398.
Wait, so it's a slab depression. So they didn't. What caused the slab depression?
PMA has a third-party vendor that comes out, and we do third-party testing on every concrete slab that put in place. So the gym floor,
There's depression.
there's a depression. It's a tenth of an inch.
Okay.
So they want to make sure that the floor is meeting
Yeah,
actual.
I do understand that. I guess my question is, so I worked for a concrete floor company for years, unfortunately, and we had poured floors that were out of spec, and there was variations, and the cost was onto us to make those repairs. Either make the repairs ourselves or we pay for somebody to make the repairs. So my question was, if the slab was off, why are we paying to correct it? Because the contractor that poured the slab, in my view, would be responsible for that. So I was just, but when you say 8,300,
This must be a very small portion.
That's why I asked that question
I would imagine
first.
this is a very small area.
Very small area.
Okay. And so perhaps bringing them in to tear it up.
Oh God, no.
Or
It
re-pour.
would
never
cost
really
more to
get
tear
to
it
that.
up than it would to.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be hundreds of thousands.
It would cost
of
a
dollars to
lot.
tear it up and report.
And then one of our PCOs is just chipping off concrete to get to a duct bank.
It's a fortune.
It was $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
So it would cost us. I mean, in that 12 by 12 section.
So it's about 12 by 12 section. Okay, that's good to know. Also, so it was a small section. They probably brought in some just material to level it out, self-leveling or something like that.
And we have third-party testing, FINA engineering, that's there every day. Everything that we do, we have floor flatness reports. We have everything that we can share with you guys.
And then my other question was on the first one you mentioned on the wastewater treatment plant, the new HVAC system, because the water could heat but not cool. Was this an old system?
This is the treatment plant that has been there for
4 years?
Yeah, many years for the school complex.
The fact that it's old, I don't.
Fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We're
I didn't know if it
we're
was a
trying
new
to
one where a component didn't work and
exactly.
we're
Yeah, no,
We're
we
trying
are
to upgrade the system to
Gotcha.
the point where we can keep the longevity of the product.
right. Yeah, this was a question from a TRC where we could. The choice was we need to. This will need to be done shortly. You can commission the school without doing it, but then you will need to do it shortly, and at that point, it will be through the normal capital budget. So, and we already have RPO there.
Yeah.
So that was the idea there.
Those are all my questions.
Great, thank
Jamie,
you.
you have any questions?
My colleague was very thorough.
Thorough,
in getting
oh,
this
good.
explanation.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Everything.
Thanks, I appreciate it too.
Yeah, thank you guys.
That's all very thorough. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Mark, for your questions.
Appreciate it.
So can
Or
I-
actually, just really quick, Chris, just quick status on the project itself. It's coming along. We're looking at October for the building.
So, as everyone on the TRC is on the weekly calls, their rate builders is stating they will be substantially complete by the 14th of October, which is
17 days from now, 16 days.
so we're very close. PMA is without any internet right now, so they moved all of our trailers off the site. But we are pushing them, and we are working from our trucks on site. If you guys would like to walk the site, we'd be more than willing to walk with you guys.
Great.
Bring friends and family. We'd love it. We are pushing them as hard as we can.
They've done a great job.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Under budget and on time, that's impressive.
We're pushing as hard as we can.
Outstanding.
Awesome. Thank you.
Kyle.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Could I have a motion and a second to approve change order 09, the amount of $281,081.31.
So moved.
Second.
You got that? Okay. Do I have to keep saying it? I won't have to. No. Okay. Perfect. All in favor? Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we appreciate it.
Okay, we have in our package for discussion and vote Unionville Pickleball Ramco Steak Company change order number 2 for PDC 2022-05.
So attached in your packet, you'll find a memo from Planning and Economic Development Director Stephanie Danielson regarding this change order. The total amount of the change order is $16,600. That's typically below the threshold that requires board approval, but whereas the base price is something the board awarded, we always bring it in. It's for wood guardrails and concrete wheel stops. They should have been in the drawings as part of our bid. They weren't, so it's on us. And it's still well within the budget. This will bring the total contract to $423,000 out of $573,000 appropriated. I have not been out there yet. There's so many construction sites to visit.
I was just going to say,
But I've heard it looks
where's
good.
the timeline on that? How's
It is.
looking?
It is. We're in the final stretch. I think they striped and painted the courts this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think
These seem
November.
like punch list change order items.
We're nearing the end.
Okay. Good. Great.
So that's been.
So I might have to take a pickleball. I don't know if I'll
There's some very fierce pickleball players.
That's what I
I've been
hear.
told.
That's what I hear. They're all waiting in the wings for it to come out. So can I have an order? Can I have a motion to approve change order number 2 on the pickleball courts? Total amount of $16,600, bringing the total contract to $423,099.50.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Next item, discussion and vote Axon 40 Taser 7 and accessories, POL 2023-01.
Sure. Thank you, Craig. And just for the board's edification, every department head who has a contract tonight is currently out presenting the building project again for I think the 12th time this month. So that's why they're not here. So I'm filling in. It's also why Michael's not here because he's filling in for me. So I'm going to do my best to take you through all these contracts tonight. So there's a memo in your packet from Chief Boone. This is for the replacement of the existing tasers the department has and I believe have been using since 2013-ish. This was approved at the May town meeting. It's from a bulk procurement contract, a national scale one called Sourcewell. We've run that through council and it checks out and it's within the budget available. So I recommend approval.
Any questions of Connor regarding the tasers?
No. I'll make a motion to approve the 40 tasers and Taser 7 and accessories, contract number POL 2023-01.
Second.
And that's in a total amount of $142,500. All in favor? Excellent. Thank you. Moving along to a discussion and vote on, I love this name, Bulletproof Solutions, Inc., Computer Storage Arrays and Switches, IT, 2023-01.
Sure. So attached in your packet is a memo from Information Systems Manager Mike Deltano for the reference contract. This is for the installation and configuration of 2 new data storage arrays and associated switches, one at the town office data center and another at the police station center. This cost also includes the migration from our existing storage arrays and servers. and it is a contract of $133,000. This was as part of the approved capital budget from town meeting of $130,000. The $3,000 difference will be funded out of available IT hardware funds. Recommend approval.
And this is the group that we lean on for cybersecurity.
Yes, so
etc.
Bulletproof is a vendor for cybersecurity technical assistance for IT just-in-time assistance. So for small IT departments like ours, they can send human resources to any municipality in Massachusetts to roll up their sleeves and get in to your server rooms. And when you need more than one person working on things, they can remote into our systems and help us with things. We are likely to be working with them on a network security audit this fall, which is good. And they're on the state certified bid list for these types of services and products. They're familiar with our network.
Excellent. So can I have a motion to approve the Bulletproof Solutions Computer Storage Array and Switches IT 2023-01, total amount of $133,109.46.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor? Unanimous. Moving on to discussion and vote on a small government enterprise license agreement. Environmental Systems Research Institute, ESRI.
Sure. So Esri is a GIS software provider that we have been working with since 2013 for the town's internal and public-facing geographic information systems. We use this for people reporting problems like potholes. We also use it for work orders internally. We use it for automated vehicle locators for snow events, things like that, so we know where our assets are. We pay a license agreement for access rather than owning and maintaining all of those licenses ourselves. I assume this must have been drafted slightly before the census came out because the pricing is based on our population, under 25,000 as of 2019. So we are a tiered rate for $27,772 per year. The total cost of a 3-year agreement is $83,316, and the cost of this is carried in the annual DPW budget as part of our GIS operation.
Any questions, comments? I have a motion to approve the small government enterprise license agreement with Environmental System Research Institute, the amount of $27,772.25 per year, but for a 3-year agreement totaling $83,316.75.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion and vote. Homer Contracting Town Office Restoration Project, change order number 3 for DPW 2022-25.
Thank you, Craig. So in your packet, there's a memo. It's attached to item 8, but the memo covers topics 8 and 9. One is for the construction, the other is for the architectural services associated with the ongoing project at the town offices. So we are 90% complete here, which is super exciting. We have windows that are open tonight for the first time, certainly in my tenure. They work, which is super great. This is, to Mark's point, we're nearing some smaller items at the end, replacing aluminum storm doors with more architecturally appropriate mahogany doors, removing, I had to make sure it was non-functioning, the movie screen on the side of the building. There is a movie screen out there. And I was going to be very torn if it worked about removing it, although that obviously wouldn't be very early 20th century appropriate, but it doesn't work, so it's being removed. Mason repairs, paint splatters. Part of this is a credit, removing a cost for vestibule work. So part of this project will make sure that the front entryway is not only restored and in good condition, but ADA accessible. We are subbing that out of this contract for the contracting team, and we're going to have DPW do it in-house. They've done a lot of in-house carpentry and other work and done a fantastic job, so we think that's a better way to go. So that's a credit on the change order. There's masonry work and some iron work for the well located near the Rose Garden. That's ongoing. And if you walk around the exterior of the building, you'll see the 7 ornamental copper collection boxes that are very beautiful and those are now installed. So that brings the change order to $88,000. It is within the project budget, and I recommend execution. We should have the building, the contract finished by November. They'll be doing punch list items, touch-ups on some of the interior paint, scrapes of any paint on glass, things like that. And we'll be working over the winter. DPW will be installing a new septic tank, and we will have a new pour for the circle on the way into the building in the spring, and hopefully have a nice open house, clean the place up, and get people in to see their building.
Excellent. Did you find the wellhead?
I did. I actually, before the meeting, I had walked around the building and I looked because I saw it as a change order, so I just wanted to scope it out. And then I discussed with Connor a little bit, and he showed me a few more things. So,
We're just glad you didn't fall in the well.
I did not fall in the well, fortunately.
Connor,
Thank you for your concern.
Connor, one other question. What are copper collector boxes? I didn't. What are those?
I can.
We can show you
answer
that. Yep.
So as the downspout comes down,
Yeah.
in the bottom, the water collects, and it has to be a larger volume container of sorts before it's then dispersed out, because the volume at which it comes down is exceptional. So if you go around the building, you see that there are all these downspouts. But at the bottom of the downspout, they're just cut off because they need those collector boxes in place before it continues in.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Perfectly explained.
Can I have a motion to approve the Homer Contracting Town Office Restoration Project Change Order Number 3 for DPW 2022-25 in the amount of $88,827?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Unanimous. Moving on to 9. Spencer Sullivan and Voight Architectural Services for Town Offices, Amendment Number 1 for DPW 2021-17.
Sure. So related, same project. This is $13,430 related to additional architectural services for preparing and filing completion reports with Massachusetts Preservation Projects Fund. There's some state matching funds in this grant, so we have to file appropriate paperwork as we near completion. Scope and specs for the garden wellhead, because that was something that, as costs got out of control throughout COVID, that was converted to an add-alt in the budget and in the bids, and wasn't originally thought to be able to fit in the construction budget. So I believe that we did not have it carried in the architectural construction administration costs, but now that we're nearing the end and we have capacity, we have to adjust it there as well. And then the allowance for the added scope and contract administration in the contract.
Okay, so the motion for Spencer Sullivan and Voight Architectural Services, Town Offices Amendment 01 for DPW 2021-17 in the total amount of $13,430. The total cost of both change orders is $102,257 and brings the total contract value for DPW 2022-25 to $1,393,945 and DPW 2021-17 to $151,030.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay. Moving on to number 10.
Item number 10 is engineering services associated with Foundry Street and Norton Avenue water main replacements. So this is an amendment to the existing design contract with Ty and Bond that will incorporate construction administration and engineering services. You'll see item 11 is the actual construction related to this. So this fits within the total water main replacement budget for this item, which was $1.5 million. That's what we allocate annually through our capital plan for water. I recommend approval.
So you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Sure.
So if this change order is approved,
Yes.
This is all we will need in engineering services because the construction engineering is done. All engineering is done with the exception of like anything they might run into that they don't know that's unforeseen.
That
Theoretically.
is my understanding, so that's typically the case, right? So
Yeah.
these are, but as you know, usually engineering and architectural services are giving you a lump sum contract estimate on the front end that's hopefully based on the time and hourly rates. And so if the construction takes longer or is delayed for some type of reason, as you just saw in the prior one,
Yep.
you can have those
Like
firms
an
come back.
unforeseen circumstance.
Right.
Okay.
So can I have a motion for approval of the engineering services Foundry Street and Norton Ave Water Main Improvement, Amendment 01 of DPW 2022-23. Total contract, the contract amendment is for $135,400.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Now we get on to the discussion of the actual contract for the work.
That's right. So item 11, a contract is for the construction of Foundry Street and Norton Ave water main replacements. This was bid out. There was actually a huge amount of bids on it. It was
Yeah,
like
I saw that.
16 or 17 companies.
Yeah.
Norton was the low bid. You may recall they were the company that built the Five Corner Sewer, did an awesome job. So we are happy to see their name again. It's for $1,692,355. It will upgrade existing water mains located on Foundry Street from Old Foundry to Norton Ave, and on Norton Ave from Foundry Street to Old Foundry. There is funding available from the collective appropriations of 2021 and 22 annual town meetings as part of capital budgets. So there's approximately $3 million available. This is part of our ongoing water main upgrade project throughout town every year.
And is this tied into the Red Mill Road?
This is not tied directly into Red Mill Road. The main, or they're not. I'm probably getting the terminology wrong. But the pipes associated with bringing the water from the 3 wells down Red Mill Road to the new treatment plant and then back to distribution, I believe, are included in that project.
Okay.
What is the timeline? When, if they've approved, when's it supposed to start and how long? I mean, it seems to me like it's not a massive project, maybe a month tops. If they're just replacing the water,
That's a long stretch.
It's a good
Old
stretch.
Foundry down to Norton Ave and then down
That's
Norton Ave.
that's almost a full year's worth financially of water main as far as funding.
full year's
so-
worth of work for $1.7 million?
Well, no, I'm not saying that's how long they'll be in the field. I'm saying that we typically allocate $1.5 million for our annual water main replacement program. I have the contract here. If you give me a moment, I can find the
You know,
date.
that type of work, $1.7 million gets you a month. You know what I mean?
Price payment.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a total of $3 million allocated for this, and we're approving 1.7, you know, give or take. And I know that the stretch you're talking about, Craig, so it's a curious question. What does that get us?
Well, I know the stretch you're getting. I just don't know how long it will take.
Or when it starts, in the spring, or are they going to do it now?
I can contact the DPW director and have an answer for you by the end of the meeting, probably.
Well, I'm comfortable moving forward with this, but
Okay, hold
yeah,
on.
this is the stuff
There we
that
go.
Dave dreams
Appro-
about.
5,000 feet of replacement of 12-inch ductile iron water main valves, hydrant services.
So it's a mile.
Actually, that would be 5,000.
280.
Because you're coming down Foundry and then you're coming down Norton Ave too.
Yep, I know exactly where
Yeah, I
it is.
apologize. The packet I have is not text recognized. I would just search for substantial completion because it's 155 pages long.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll get an answer for you.
Okay.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the construction services for Foundry Street and Norton Avenue water replacement improvements with C. Norton Corporation, DPW 2023-15, the amount of $1.692,355 million.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Moving on to the donations to the fire department. We have 2 donations. Do we do them together, or, yeah, we should just do them together. Okay. We have one donation from James and Emma Ducharme, 860 Washington Street in Easton, with a $100 donation. There's a letter in your package thanking the Ducharme family from Justin Alexander, and then also received a $1,000 donation from Carol and Steve Green of 53 Wedgwood Drive in Easton, and a letter thanking them from Justin Alexander. Justin Alexander would like to have them both deposited in the fire donation account.
Thank you for the generous gifts, and I move to accept those donations.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? We appreciate the generosity of the Ducharme family and the Green family on behalf of our fire department. Number 13 on our agenda is the town administrator update, municipal facilities replacement.
Sure, thank you, Craig. So as we hit the final stretch of feasibility before next week's selection by the Municipal Building Committee of the preferred building alternative to enter schematic design, we've had it as a standing item on the agenda for me to just give a brief verbal update on the work that we've done and answer any questions the board may have about our progress. So we kicked off a pretty kind of aggressive engagement campaign with a presentation to the board in August, and through the Labor Day push and since your last meeting, we now have on the project website video tours of all the facilities. We have offered, although we had no takers, public tours of all of these facilities. We'll do that again as it gets more refined and there's probably a higher level of focus on the project. Since the last meeting, the team has gone to and presented a project to the Finance Committee. We invited every board and committee chair in Easton to go to that as well. It was a remote meeting so that they could hear about it there. We presented it to the Furnace Village Neighborhood Collaborative. The team is presenting it to the Lions Club tonight. We will be at the NRT Fest with the board on Sunday and at Borderland Family Fun Day the following weekend. And I think there was a couple other presentations in there too. We've done staff presentations and just trying to get as much information out as we can about the project. So geotechnical work is ongoing. We are on site at 524 Depot Street and at Daly's Corner with DPW and geotech folks for borings now. And next week on October 4th, Tuesday, the Municipal Building Committee has on their agenda 2 items. One is a deeper dive on the fire station response time study, just so anyone who really cares deeply about that stuff, they could go if that's their thing and they want to ask questions. The consultant who did the report will be there. And we'll go through that with the committee. And then after that, we've done, I think, as much as possible at this point of feasibility, and it will just be time for the Municipal Building Committee to pick which of the 3 options they would like to advance to schematic design.
What's the date in which the municipal committee is supposed to pick?
Tuesday next week.
Tuesday next week.
Yes.
October 4th.
October 4th. Wow. It came up fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're nearing almost 1 year since the approval of feasibility funding from town meeting. Things go very fast.
I know. Everything feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah. I had an opportunity to sit in at the Furnace Village presentation, and I thought it was well done, and there were some very, very thorough and interesting questions from Furnace Village. I was very impressed with their questions, and I think it went well because they got the answers they were looking for and it addressed any concerns they had, and I thought it was well done. It was very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm hoping that people will take the time to either look at the videos or actually go, because that was the thing that impressed me, at least in terms of the need for DPW, police, and fire, just going through and getting a tour of those buildings.
Right.
Saying, This is 18th century stuff in the 21st century.
It is very dated.
Yeah, it certainly
so,
is.
So folks are, I mean, we're just hearing through our networks that, you know, people are, there's at least now some level of awareness that this is ongoing. And although once we get to schematic, I mean, there's still a ton more work. This will still be at every municipal building committee meeting for months. We'll keep it on our agenda. We'll go to some fall events with some flyers to hand out. We know people aren't going to want to, it's already a stretch to give someone a flyer about a building project when they're, you know, thinking about pumpkins with their kids. But we'll continue working at it and sharing information about it. And so when we enter schematic, it's still, I mean, you're looking at, even if we're being aggressive, working on that through, you know, the spring and having probably a special town meeting in June or July.
And what are the methods you're using to get these meetings out? I know online, social media.
Yep. So we have been publishing updates through Guilfoyle, which goes to email listservs, to the social media pages, not only of the town, but the police and fire department. We have shared the meeting calendar with ECAT, and they run that in their video loops of the project itself. We have the video tours and the presentations on YouTube and on our project page. And we, I think, have standing items in the town crier, on the town website. We have flyers printed in the building that are colorful with QR codes on them. And we've been going directly to neighborhood groups of folks we know are engaged. And, you know, tonight, the Lions usually have a pretty good turnout.
That's a bit of an older crowd.
Presented to the YMCA as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my concern is the people who aren't online or don't want to be online, and that's usually, you know, an older crowd. So that's great that they're presenting.
We got some older residents at the Furnace Village, and they gave great feedback. One of them was very honest. I walked in here basically saying, why do you need more? Why do we need more construction, and why do you need more money? And then I saw photos of these facilities, and you know, I think this is a really well justified project. So, but we'll keep working at it, and you know, again, I think part of it is, and you know, Chris could probably edify this. We are doing this much sooner than people typically do. You don't normally try to make a full court press like this when you don't even have a preferred alternative, because you don't. All you have is rough concepts of price, which are huge. You don't have tax impact analysis, so people. Even people who are engaged, I mean, we all have a trillion things going on, right? So people will pay more attention as it becomes much more real, and there's concrete, like, annual tax impact numbers out there. And in the interim, we'll keep pushing it out. I wish we still had a local paper. We don't.
I know.
But we're you know, ECAT's been great. They've been at a ton of these, and we are leaning on you know, partners we have in the community through our other projects, like Furnace Village, like the Lions, to.
I agree, and I actually just texted all the PMA leadership. We put this out in the PMA realm.
Great.
To push people out, to come out and bring their families. Like, I'm bringing my family. We have Walter obviously couldn't be there, but we have the PMA group coming out to represent the town of Easton for a specific reason, because we believe this is a huge necessity. I mean, just walking through Mansfield alone, I mean, this is something that's definitely a necessity. So if we can bring the forces out to just get visibility in general.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you guys need.
Any other questions? I think it's part of our responsibility, too, to talk to people as we...
Right, be educated enough to speak intelligently.
Exactly.
And the reason why I asked that question was because inevitably I'm going to get the person who comes to me and says, I didn't know. So I can then turn around and say, well, this is put out in all these forums. And then you make a good point. Usually people come really out of the woodworking when they see dollars and numbers, because that's what makes people move.
Yeah.
And then they say, that's the point, which they say, well, I had no idea. So,
right. So we're trying to, I mean, we would be well within standard industry practice to just, you know, do the technical part. I mean, the NBC meetings are public and they're accessible, right? You can go through that, pick the design, and then have, you know, a meeting where the select board calls for a town meeting. That could be your public engagement. And
That would be terrible.
I agree. That's not how we
that
do
is
things.
not
But
right.
statutorily, that's all that you need. And so what we wanted to do was create opportunities for folks, and particularly for people who people who are already active in the community. They will talk about this with other folks and get them
Exactly.
in the know.
Yeah.
And because one of the things we I think did a really good job, and we did a lot of educating and public meetings of the school building project. But one of the things that came from that was folks, once it gets to talking about debt exclusion, saying, well, gee, why did we go with this preferred alternative? I wish I knew back then. And whether they would have gone or not, we don't know. But so we're taking that in good faith, and we're offering a lot more chances now before that choice is made to get feedback from people. And it hasn't been instant. I mean, you've had a couple dozen people at some of these meetings, and like Civil Lions have a good group, and we got some. I mean, the Furnace Village group, Craig was at like an hour and a half of Q&A.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
they
was
really did a lot of good questions, good feedback, suggestions on you should all have that in the presentation, make that point. So.
Yeah, I was impressed.
A lot better than the first sewer meeting.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you're scarred.
I remember that day.
I was there as well.
Seasoned.
Yeah, you had to get your battle scars first to
that's right.
become seasoned.
Okay, thank you, Connor. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Moving on to review of a special town meeting, November 14th, 2022 warrant drafts.
It is the most wonderful time of the year, town meeting time. In your packets, and actually in front of you, you have the first draft, the printed drafts of the warrant for annual town meeting. Special town meeting. So bear with us. The article numbers might have shifted a little bit, but the content is the same. So the first one is a transfer to stabilization fund. So this is a standard article every November. I should have mentioned town meeting is November 14th, Monday, at the Oliver Ames High School. Standard article, as part of our financial management policies, we transfer a minimum of 25% of the prior year's free cash into stabilization. We haven't certified free cash yet, but the numbers are looking good. Revenue, again, was healthy, so that should be a good number. But because we don't have an exact one, I would just ask for a motion to include the article. And the board can hold off on any recommendation until you see the dollar amount, if you'd like.
Any questions for Connor on that? So can I have a motion to include Article 1?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Number 2. No, it's not number 2. It's number 13.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's all right. That's okay.
Really, it's number 7 in the document.
I was just going to say, we are without 13.
It's to appropriate opioid settlement funds. So at a recent meeting, it might have actually even been the last meeting, Assistant Town Administrator Blanchard gave an update to the board about our role and what we will be receiving in a state negotiated settlement with opioid manufacturers. And as Assistant Town Administrator Blanchard and Finance Director Nightingale indicated, we have to appropriate these funds. So right now, we've received $41,000 and change. Additional may come in prior to town meeting. But if that changes, we'll just update the motion on the floor. So at this time, I would ask for the board to consider voting to include and recommend this article.
So that's Article number 7.
Yes.
So can I have a motion to include Article number 7?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
And would you like a motion to recommend as well?
Are we recommending as well or just including?
I don't know what version you have in front of you. The one that we printed for you tonight does have a dollar amount, so I would,
41,000.
I would ask unless the board has any reservations of recommendation,
We
please.
can amend that to include and recommend Article 7.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Now we go to is it number 9, Article 9?
Yes, Articles 9 and 10 are very similar. Article 9 is for a vote of town meeting to authorize a disposal of what will at that time become surplus property and land, Merle Hall, 360 Washington Street. This is under procurement law required for town meeting to authorize the board to do a procurement process where you would solicit bids for the sale of Murrow Hall once it is no longer being used as a public school.
Are you asking for a recommendation as well?
I would, yes.
So an inclusion and recommendation.
Yeah, so I think we tried to put a good bit of information in the explanation here, and the next one, to your point, Mark, about the building projects, which is the language of the article is pretty standard. It just gives the board authority to conduct a procurement process. But given that the board has not had a draft request for proposals given to you yet, I indicated, based on the feedback we've gotten, a general direction the board may wish to go without kind of binding it. So you could do it one of two ways. You could basically do a request for proposals at risk, where I could present an RFP to you, and if you approve of it, we can issue the RFP for folks to submit bids, and then only when you have bids you go to town meeting and get approval to sell it, or you can get prior authorization that you kind of have the ability to go through the process, and then the board would develop an RFP. There's less risk to the proposals at that point, because depending on what the people attempting to purchase a property, how much due diligence they're going to do, those could be substantial costs, and then if it's without prior authorization of town meeting, then that could fail.
Okay.
So this gives authorization to the board to go through the process, but you would still have a public process where I would bring a draft request for proposals or invitation for bid to the board for you to approve, and then we would put that on the street, receive those, rank them.
Okay, so this doesn't require town meeting.
No, this does require it requires town meeting to give the board, basically your office, the ability to go through the process.
So let me just read should I just read the section that?
Sure.
Yeah,
The
okay, so this
explanation.
article would authorize the select board to dispose of the property land using a public procurement process to solicit bids or proposals. Given the historic significance of Murrow Hall, the board intends to limit proposals to those which prioritize the preservation of the exterior structure of the hall and would be in keeping with its previous purposes as a site for education and or promotion of civic and communal engagement. While disposition of the property is subject to the procurement process as part of the town's ongoing facility planning process, Stonehill College has indicated they intend to bid on such a process, and that the college would consider a lease of land they own at Daly's Corner, which is of Washington and Main Street, for construction of a new Easton fire station. So we want to include and recommend.
So, but before you do, does that are
It
you
does
comfortable with
answer
the
my
process?
question.
Yeah, it's both the board and town meeting need to say okay at some point, but it's a kind of just a policy question on who goes first.
Mm-hmm.
We, by virtue of having MOUs, kind of are at a place where we can signal that these are things that we've been told by these organizations they intend to do this, but we are still going to go through an open process where people could bid against them, basically.
So can I have a motion to include and recommend Article 9?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Article 10, authorization for disposal of surplus property land at Center School, 388 Depot Street.
Sure. So I think it's helpful just to go through the explanation on this one as well. So 388 Depot Street is currently a site of Center School. In August of this year, the school committee voted to transfer care and custody of that property to the select board upon occupancy of the Blanche A. Ames Elementary School. So when the Blanche A. Ames Elementary School opens in January 2023, Center School will no longer be used as a public school. The town's municipal building committee did explore potential municipal reuse of this site for future police, fire, and or public works facilities as part of our ongoing facilities planning efforts, but concluded that other town-owned land on the same street, 524 Depot Street, was more advantageous. Therefore, the town does not have other purpose to own and maintain Center School after it is vacated as a public school. Unlike Murrow Hall, it doesn't kind of have architectural significance or, obviously it's been very valuable to the community, but it's a 1950 school. So this article would authorize the select board to dispose of a property and land through the public procurement process to solicit bids and proposals. Planning and Zoning Board is recommending reverting the zoning on this property to residential, which is the next article on the warrant. It's not on tonight's agenda, but it's in the warrant, which is consistent with the surrounding parcels and neighborhood and would allow for any potential use to include either residential use or community center or recreational facilities, which are allowed in residential zones by special permit. While residential use would be allowable under the zoning, the board intends to solicit proposals including community and recreational facilities, which also prioritize the preservation of Yardley Rink to the fullest extent feasible, while disposition of a property is subject to a procurement process, which will be open bidding. The Old Colony Y has indicated they may wish to propose a facility at the site.
Any
So-
questions? Go ahead.
No questions. I'm a little sad that my former school that I was a graduate of in 1988 might not be there any longer, but it's for the best. That's my only
I thought
comment.
you were Monroe Hall.
No, Santa School's Mustangs.
Mustangs.
That's what we were in the 80s.
Can I have any questions or comments? Or, yeah.
And if the draft explanations are not consistent with the discussions we've had, you please provide feedback. We can adjust that. But the way that it's written, explanations are informational. The motion and the language itself are broad. Obviously, we're trying to be quite clear what we're working towards, but it gives the board discretion.
So can I get a motion to approve Article 10?
Approve and recommend?
To include and recommend.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Beautiful. Thank you.
So it's not a very long warrant, 11 articles. We are actively working with 7 unions on negotiations. To the extent we reach agreement with any of those town unions, their contract ratifications can be taken up through the omnibus budget amendment article. Just wanted to flag that. That's Article 5. That's usually the last article that's finished because we keep an eye on how accounts are trending up until basically posting deadlines. So that'll be in a couple more meetings.
Okay. Do we already have a chance to read the minutes of September 12th, 2022? I have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Town administrator notes.
Sure. A few notes for anyone who hasn't seen online or on our website. There's a pretty widespread spoofing campaign going on, so please be careful if you see emails coming from Easton, or they're not actually coming from easton.ma.us domains. They may look like town emails, but just mouse over those emails and make sure that's an authentic sender, and be careful with attachments and things of that nature. We're working on that now and trying to get to the bottom of that.
One of the things I read, I think, was from Rob Verdone, that not to forward them, to use it as an use it as an attachment rather than forwarding.
You can, depending on what your inbox looks like, I don't know what platform you're using, but you can usually right-click and copy and paste that into the body of another email as an attachment rather than forwarding it.
Right.
So it's something SEMRAC is looking at, which indicates it's relatively widespread. So we are working on that with Bulletproof. Yeah.
There have been a lot of, but prior to this, there were a lot of other emails coming that weren't legitimate as well.
Yes. I mean, this is unfortunately just kind of the environment is becoming significantly more hostile. We are tightening our security practices here, but also, as we've discussed in setting my goals for this year, we'll be working with Bulletproof or a comparable vendor for a more comprehensive network security audit. We work with Maya, who is our liability insurer. We have cyber and ransomware coverage should the worst happen. But they, as underwriters, are significantly tightening their standards, or else they will not insure organizations, which is good. It's a good practice. And so they also do their own external penetration tests and things like that to try to see. They hire contractors to try to get into their insured clients' systems to make sure that the people they're insuring are actually doing the right things, and they give you briefs on anything that needs tightening, and we've only had some minor adjustments so far, so that's not to say there's not work to do, and we're working on it. But
Could this be them during this current spoof campaign?
it is not. That would be nice. but we're in touch with them in the event we need any support. But we're working with Bulletproof now to try and discern, if this is just kind of your standard spoofing from all of our accounts being public, or if it's anything that actually is involved in getting inside the network. So we're working on that. I want to note there's been a lot of coverage, nearly universally negative, about energy prices, understandably. National Grid announced its winter supply prices, which will triple, not for the overwhelming majority of Easton residents, though, so this is me plugging for the few folks left who are not in the community choice energy aggregation plan. We will be sending mailers out again. We do every 6 months when there's a supply price change with Grid, we send a mailer out. So our electricity supply that we procured in bulk is roughly 10 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's a flat rate that doesn't move season to season and stays that way till November of 2023. And the current proposed kilowatt hour supply price by Grid is 33 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a difference of about $150 a month all winter. So if somebody opted out of the community choice plan, I would strongly recommend they get into it, which you could do for free. Go to the town website, and there will be mailers going out on that. But so that's something we've all been proud of that program since the board executed it in 2020. It's been a net savings so far. The savings will be enormous now, but unfortunately, just because of the price of market-based supply is pretty astronomical. So,
What's the easiest way to confirm you are in?
everyone was opted in automatically when we went in.
You
So
had
unless
to
you
opt
opted out, you should be in it. And if you are still on the basic rate from Grid, the energy consultants we work with can get that information. They send mailers to you, encouraging you to opt in. So, and another way that would make that clear is if your first bill post November goes up $100+ on your supply, the cost is through the roof. It's not the community choice plan.
Well, it indicates on the bill who the supplier is.
So just a plug for that. And then SEMREC Board of Directors, so as the board will recall, in June, all the 4 member communities approved an amendment to the underlying intermunicipal agreement that established for regional dispatch. Part of a main driver of that IMA amendment was creating the process through which we could introduce other communities to join. Norwood has formally requested to be brought into the SEMREC fold, and the board of directors, under the process outlined in the IMA, took the preliminary vote to send that to the kind of formal review stage. So under the IMA, what that looks like is that every board of director member, which is the town administrators of the 4 towns, and up to 1 delegate member from each community, picked by the select board, usually someone on the select board, will have a joint meeting to review the executive director's brief on the proposal to include a new community and take a vote. And after that point, there's a formal notice sent out to all the communities letting them know the IMA is amended and the community is I don't know if inducted is the right word, but brought into the fold. So I don't have a vote on the agenda because we are still getting more information, but at one of your meetings in the near future, we'll have an item on the agenda for the board to pick a delegate to come with me to SEMREC to review that proposal and take a position on it and keep SEMREC moving into the future.
It's excellent. Are there other towns that have made some noise about it?
Many, but the Norwood's proposal is much farther along. So.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Connor.
Thank you.
Select board notes. Nothing?
I've got nothing this week.
Jamie?
Life is just so busy otherwise.
Just that Sunday, October 2nd is a big day, obviously, with the NRT, and we've got a lot of boards that will be featured there, including the Select Board, the Green Communities Committee, the Municipal Buildings Committee. So every and anyone who can come out and support and learn, and a lot of great, I know the Green Communities Committee will have some giveaways as well, some prizes that can be won, activities for children, and NRT is always a wonderful fair for old and young alike. So come on out.
Thank you, Jimmy. Mark?
I have no notes.
Okay, I don't have anything either, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you all.
Thank you.